Look at that old tractor. I don't know if that's actually an old tractor or not, though. It's like an old car. I like the cowbell. It's kind of cool, though. It's like an old car slash tractor or slash, I don't know. It's pretty cool, though. We're gonna leave in like 10 minutes to go on this tour. It'll be pretty neat. Plenty of quartz crystals. This dude's cool. And just sit in the back and enjoy. We'll see you here in a bit. Look, we're fixing to board those Jeeps with trailers and be towed through the caverns. They should be fine.
The next live viewer series of the fantastic caverns is now ready. If you're holding tickets in a hurry, turn back on yourself. Please make your host on the left side of the visitor center. Thank you.
We're waiting for the tour guide to come. I don't care. Here, scoot over so that people can come. No. Lily. These are not.
I don't need that.
Alright, let me get a head count for that front desk.
I'm right here.
Oh, there you go. 24. Thank you. She usually hides up there. Got some filming to do on your YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Just keep those tickets all folded up and stapled till we get seated. So come on down.
Vince called you out. How do you do what?
He called you out. How do you feel?
I feel fine. YouTube channel? Yeah, my YouTube channel. That's what it's all about.
How people are slipping. No, I'm not riding.
There's lots of ducking on this side and not as much on the first one. So if you don't want to duck, sit on that side. I'm ready.
I want to duck. Can I duck? If you want to sit across from us, you can.
Have people.
No. Okay. Hang on. You're going to have to come over here so people can get up. More.
case.
Can I see that?
And then, yeah.
Here we go. I really like that Bronco with that little bitty mini camper on it.
Do you feel the G-forces on your skin then? Yes, that's a win. Are you there for extra credit or something? I thought so. You can look for those extra credit puzzles for business. Give them to a teacher. When they ask what you do for summer, you'll be in the prepare the summer. Well, a little history, a little science and math along the way. My name is Richard. I'm happy your host here in the Ozarks. To help you understand that well with the Ozarks, is a special place, sometimes misunderstood. But it was here in 1887 that we were the first cave west of the Mississippi River to get electric lights. Edison's new bulb strung along the ceiling. So by building a fire like we did this morning, they would boil water. And the water would boil up the top, pump that piston up and down, and turn the wheel and turn the belt. And that created a little electricity. That is authentic sounds. It's not recorded. No laser light shows here. We try to keep it traditional and authentic. You want to take it all in? Yeah. Well, inside the cave, you can take as many pictures or use the flash. That's all okay in our cave. Let's make some family memories for kids do watching those low ceilings because the cave is dripping, and so it might surprise you in your eyebrows. On your shoulders, there's no extra charge. Just don't reach out and steal the drips because the oils on our hands can clog up those little formations, and they won't drip for 5 or 10 years until oil washes off.
Already feels cool, doesn't it? Wow, feel the temperature drop already.
So kids, put a big smile on your face will capture some family histories. Just make sure it's a birthday party. That's close in the dark.
All right, hey guys, good evening. Good evening. I'm gonna check your guys' spell on the count of 3. You guys ready? All right, 1, 2, 3.
There we go. So, driver's side, that first little spot right here on your side. I'll shine a light on the second one. So you help each other watch. You're a little shorter, so if you make a peek there, she'll know she's down. You can knock out your
Yes.
Calcium.
all around it, there'll be some little spots up.
Nice. How do you do that?
Well, it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Finish your mouth. Look over there. When you're 18, 16 for photography. Summer's not over yet. So it's kind of cool here. 60 degrees. Sometimes in the wintertime it's warm. Classes fog up. Yeah. It's all that water 100% humidity. If somebody was asking about that cage coming down the hill, that's just for evaporation of water. Here's our scientific team. It's the third part of the Ozarks Underground Laboratory. Well, they were concerned that our cave doors were open too much. You see sometimes these trams coming every 30 minutes, and sometimes it's 2 coming every 10 minutes, like on Big Halloween. So we see about a mile the upper chamber, and we exit out kind of a high spot there, back where Justin is. We'll go there in just a few minutes.
Yep.
Exit the cave.
On this?
So like a backwards Y, water evaporates out of the cave. So we're trying to measure that. So far, 4 years into the experiment, so far so good. So as we drive on the riverboat, well, we don't have a riverboat, we have a tramp. Hope we don't get some water in that cave.
Yeah, I know.
I think we'll be okay. Drag that. So we're going to go up there beyond the dark, so you know what we call that? Up there on the light, the dark there. Because it's dark. Right. Light behind us, the twilight's in between. That's as far as mammals would typically go. Twilight's over a fox, rabbit, or squirrel visiting the cave. We'll talk about those bats a little deeper. Here we go.
That was pretty awesome.
Boy, here in the big auditorium makes a big more sense than driving on the riverbed. It's carved out the weak spots. Limestone dissolves by water. Lungs are highways, you'll see those blocks, sometimes several hundred feet tall, assuming that the newest material is on the top. As ancient sea sediment falls, it will stack it up several hundred feet tall. White from bone sinking ships. Well, if we see bats in the cave, it's not very many of them. They're tricolor bats. They're only about 3 inches tall with a 4-inch wingspan. And in 3 seasons now, Fantastic Caverns, I've seen 19. Not very many. Yeah, choosing the entrance or exit. But you look for those fuzzy chicken nuggets. They have 3 colors sometimes. The main color being brown.
Does it ever flood down here?
Well, let me point out a few formations. You'll see some big and little ones. The little ones are soda straws. Grow 6 to 8, maybe 10 inches long. And they drip down a hollow tube, ring after ring, until the hollow tube gets 10 inches long, clogs up, and then they drip over the sides. So they get fat at the top and then skinny as they drop to a single point. This stalactite we call a curtain drapery, dripping year round. The one next to it, not so much. But when it does drip, it flows water at an angle at wrist and elbow, flowing down, leaving a big stalagmite on the sculpture. And that stalagmite might reach up and touch a stalactite and make a big column. Some you'll see we have are over 30 feet around. So they've been driven a long time. How long? Well, so far for 80 years of research, 81 for 2022, we understand it to be about 1 melted ice cube every 100 years. So not an inch taller, it's like a coat of paint. So as water would drip and take 100 years to drip down 1 cubic inch, 12 ice cubes, 12 cubic inches, well, 1,200 years. Yeah, this one's dripping pretty good from those recent rains.
Did that blow up?
Well, say it could grow a long time, but 1 cubic inch every 100 years is going to take a long time for that. But we'll see some that already connected. Yeah, what have you seen up there? Well, if it's 1
Yeah.
cubic inch every 100 years, how long do you think? Yeah, about 30 feet. A very long time.
It's all calcium.
it doesn't get around. But it's in one of the caves. A water well, and actually, the one in that hole was the accident. He was in there for 2 days. The cave owner owning the half mountain on the hillside, and the neighbor on the hillside across the green part of the property. 2 men measuring for 2 days, they paced it off in the cave and up below, and well, that's where the train came down. It was coming down instead of 20 feet over there, it came down here at 90 feet, and that's when the drill bit slammed the cave floor. So finding the water 50 feet below us, they tapped into it for a few years, but it turned out it was only a wet weather spring.
Oh God, your cell phone doesn't work? Stand up, hold it up in the air.
Oh, yeah. Back in the day. He's sitting on the couch, and she made him come to the cave. He's resting from the scans. Is this cave your idea?
It was my idea.
I'm sorry.
And I spent like hours in the RV just mapping out things that we could do over here.
We need good tour guides. Come help us. Well, you're under an ancient ocean, and it is bottom of the ocean. We can see corals, but these cave corals maybe just soaked up the water. And then as the bubbles of the carbon dioxide being given off, well, left the bubble behind. Cave corals, sometimes called cave popcorn. Now today we see those cave popcorn in LED bulbs. Makes our cave look more white, doesn't it? But our cave hasn't always been seen. It was sometimes seen like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was prior to 1972. Direct lighting with Edison's bulb on the ceiling from 1887. That's how caves lit. Till 1972, when Mr. Davis said caves should be lit from the floor. A change of philosophy, and now caves around the world follow that one man's advice, Mr. Davis. Lights on the ceiling, not on the floor. Well, when we see the lights in vintage style bulbs, if you want beige bulbs at home, that's how our cave looks, kind of peanut butter colored down. Yeah, well, if you take the lights of your devices, kids, I'll show you what the dog found, Juno, that hunting bloodhound in 1862. So highlight your devices for just a few seconds as I count down to 3, 2, and then 1. Yeah. Now, hide the lights for just a second and cover that t-shirt, young man, so we can see total after darkness. So, only the bottom of the ocean is equivalent, that is total after darkness. So, John Knox, hearing his dog bark and not finding him in the woods for a few hours, he went back to the house and got a flame that came in 20 feet on his stomach, near the place we exit the cave today, and rescued the dog out. Safely hid the dog from the cave by putting rocks and brush he had moved on the way in. He hid his cave for 5 years till 1867 when local explorers came this far in. So it was, and then 1887 they decided to turn on the lights. That's why they see the cave, and today even prettier, backlight, spotlight, silhouette. That's the way we see a cave. Yeah, no lights or light shows here.
I wonder how deep we are right now.
turn around so you get the opposite side. If you want to stand up and look down, it doesn't make your knees all shaky. You look down to the bottom of a river canyon. As the water flows to the back of the cave, it makes a big mudslip. But it also has washed out that 18-inch passageway from left to right, opened it up, and it makes a left-hand turn and then discharges underneath that other sinkhole. And then it flows another half mile where it flows a few feet above the Little Sauk River. We call that Indian Springs, where it discharges that energy it's brought from the water and the oxygen, the food it brings from the cave animals. That energy comes from 12 square miles. So from where that light is, if our scientists go as far as they could tape measure and ink dye test, it's 3 miles they found at 25 feet below the surface.
Super nice and cool.
I'm like, it's really cold.
No, I'm not cold. It's just perfect. Oh yeah. This is all women.
Yeah, that's for
February 27th.
1869.
Used for lots of purposes. From the speakeasy in the 1920s to the mushrooms that grew in the Great Depression in the 1930s. 50s had the music show broadcast on local NBC affiliate KCBS. The press family got their start 55 years ago. Well, lots of history's come and gone, but why would a fellow like John Knox hide a kid? Why wouldn't he tell his friends and family about it during the Civil War? Well, that's what we can answer here. It's a big leaching vat like this, a piece of equipment, kind of a washing machine for caves. If they would take enough cave soil and put it in a big hopper like this, they'd pour enough water that it would start leaching out, washing and dissolving the nitrate. Nitrate, potassium nitrate, was sought in the Civil War. And when they cooked it, it would evaporate that water. Adding some potash, once it began to crystallize, they would grind it up into a fine powder with a little bit of sulfur, and together that makes some gunpowder. Bam. Sure, Justin heard it. He's got some big boots. Just missed my spot. So, hiding a cave. Where does those nitrates come from? Calcium nitrate. Comes from potassium nitrate if you have a lot of bats. A large opening of bats would allow sometimes colonies to come and hang on the ceiling in the wintertime for weeks at a time, drop that guano until it's stacked up. Then the river would wash it. So John hid in the cave because, well, 300 caves were being mined, 29 in Missouri, and, well, under military law, sometimes a big free space like this, a farm and its cave were taken without payment to the owner. And imagine at 6 degrees how the troops would have rejoiced to have 6 degrees when it was 102 in August. Time when it was cold in the winter and they could hang out here for a few days before they marched on. At Springfield, Missouri, well, it was a strategic location. A river today, the Missouri is a few hours by car to the north, and the White River to the south, and paddle boats came up the rivers as America moved west. Springfield was a small city just about 35 years old and fought over with a bloody bath because it was a strategic location connecting what was St. Louis, the gateway to the west, and the southwest.
You completely ignored that area. I don't remember all this. Wow.
So we can see our ceiling is on our floor. Lower chambers we just drove under. See, that ceiling used to be up there. So at one time you could walk from this side to that side perhaps. But it's the ceiling that's on the floor because as water flows in a horizontal river, it rubs against, soaks up the rock, and as the spring can get bigger, well, the spring below then allows the cave to drain. It fills and drains and fills, and that's the first section they cleared off the floor. So draining and filling and draining and filling, you get the idea. That's the second section that fell, and then a third Bigfoot shoe shape up there. So now we're no longer 12 stories deep, so water can come in faster, but the evidence is a big formation like this on top of what fell is taller than 4 coats of paint, 4 cubic inches, 400 years. And remember, there is a New Madrid fault line in Missouri that does rumble 1s and 2s on our modern Richter scale of 10. Well, they get 1s and 2s several hundred times a year, but over the last several hundred years, remember the longest quake series for the United States is based at New Madrid. When 2,000 tremors in 3 months, the winter of 1811 or 1812, before we were a state, well, church bells rang in Boston, Massachusetts. President Madison was waking up to Dolly in the White House, and they thought it was in Virginia. So with the dome shape now, it self-supports the wall. We wouldn't expect further collapse because the water doesn't go to the ceiling, but it does come in the spring onto the floor. So, if you're in doubt that that ceiling doesn't collapse, one more day, Atlas showed up to hold up the ceiling just for you.
What if he shrugs?
Hope he doesn't shrug. But he's been holding up for a long time. So, scientists say it's the opposite. Rather than run from a cave, perhaps the deeper you are in a cave, stable to the ground, attached to the bedrock, more stable than the soil surface. Like the Mississippi River Valley, where the river ran backwards in that big quake and made a lake in Tennessee called Lake Reelfoot. Run the river backwards for 2 or 3 days. So that's where quicksand would be, opening up and swallowing caverns whole. But in the cave, scientists say the evidence throughout southern Missouri's large formations on top of what fell go hang out in the cave. If you decided to do that, then how it works out for you, okay? Because I want to do it. My chances on the surface. So, because we're close to the surface, there's so many stalactites in the next room that I can't count them. Can you count them by 1,000 at a time, perhaps, right through there? I'm going to take you to our last room, the Hall of Giants. Candle lantern. That's some of our biggest.
Looks like I see daylight up there.
All right, cave explorers. Too much light in a cave, not much cave, and that's how you do it with a candle. With an open flame, even a kerosene lantern would shine too much light, so you couldn't see much cave. But thankfully, for those cowboys and all their movies they made, a coffee can was invented in the 1850s. So, accessible in the barn by 1867. With a pocket full of candles and a candle in your can, you can make a nice flashlight. Focus that beam nice. See, that's the low beam. It even has a high. Pretty good. So you may want to go get you a can of coffee if you can't find one that's not plastic. A number 10 industrial food size can. You like chocolate pudding, don't you? Just eat the whole can and make you a candle lantern, that is. And I'm going to take a few steps around down that creek bed below. I'll ask you there first for the group today. Listen to those big kids. So early explorers couldn't see a whole lot, could they? Where John Knox had been rescuing his dog off those big breakdowns. Early explorers followed 5 years later, only to be blocked by the breakdown ahead and those big twins side by side. Yeah, it was only about 20 feet to the surface, so those have been driven for a very long time. So they went over the top of the breakdown to where they took a picture back today. You can see it much differently. It's a room we call the Hall of Giants. There's my light. Now she's got some light in her eyes. Yeah. You got some light in your eyes too. It's had a kind of a calming effect on you, though, hasn't it? She's taking it all in.
It's okay. It's okay.
To help each other watch on that passenger side. One last little.
Watch your head. That was pretty awesome.